Howdy, y'all. I'm working on numerous things. That's why I've been so long to get back to you all. It's getting close to a week, but I'm working with a guy codenamed Jason Bourne. He's assumed that identity to help him. He's been in a lot of trouble, and I've spent the last few days trying to get some paperwork together for him, and I got the rest of the day. I've been also helping Brother Nestor up in Ohio and Brother Dan in Alabama and some people over in Texas. I've been driving here and there and everywhere, talking to a lot of people. I'm helping about 12 people simultaneously. But before I forget, uh, I'm going to talk about driver's license and some police abuse, police accountability here in just a second. So this is not misleading. I hope you don't think that. But uh, XDSA Prez doing a great job. I support him 100%. They just did this thing on this racial thing at the Walmart, and I disagreed with that. And some of the people that watch my channel or subscribers have talked to me, and most have agreed with me. There's a couple that haven't, and they want me to speak to it. So here I am. I think that when you're quick and you're fast, you can get past people. And when you're studied and skilled in it, you can do it even better. So Texas Sheepdog, he's used to using his voice, his authority, his presence to get what he wants. And so when he pushed his way past the woman, part of it is being bedazzled. It's a man. He's fast. He's strong. He's confident, and he's gotten past me. Okay. Well, that's kind of like, well, I won't let that happen again. Okay. The next person comes by. They're slower, less assertive, less aggressive, and kind of complacent. Well, it wouldn't have mattered if they were white or black or brown. I think the outcome would have been the same. Now, I've watched all of XDSA Prez's videos. I don't think I've missed any. If I did, okay. And he's been spot on, dead on, over and over and over and over. And he has always used caution and proper protocol when dealing with police and officials. And when other people were getting too far out, he'd kind of reel them in. Okay, he's done fantastic. Supported 100%. Luck Follier's, he's still going through a bunch of crap up there with Portland police, and he can't hardly talk for nobody for trying to keep them people off his tail end. And PNP News, he's out there, Mr. Steve, trying to help a lot of newbies get some groundwork, and he's trying to cover a wide variety of things. Word to you, good man. And let's see, I know I'm going to forget somebody. Anyway, there's a new guy that's been going to a lot of police departments in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He just went to Little Elm. He's been to Dallas, I think, Mesquite, I can't remember. Anyway, he basically goes around and films lobbies. That's his claim, as I'm going here, it's a journalist, to film content that's good for the public, and I'm filming your lobbies and filming you in the line of duty. So I've watched him, and he's gotten a lot better. I think now he's around 7,000 subscribers, I think. Anyway, he gets basically good comments, but he has got some nasty ones. And I think, hey, when somebody's new at something, you got to give them a chance to kind of build up their skills and their abilities. Okay, the longer I'm on here, the better I get. The longer anybody else on here, the better they get. You live and you learn. Okay, so these people that's out there doing First Amendment audits, police accountability, give me, give other people a chance. I don't think I have to be given too much of a chance on police accountability because I spent 40 years in it. Actually, I got 16 days or 17 years will be 40 years for me. Okay, so I'm not active at this moment. I do have a commission, but I'm not active. So I'm basically retired, and that's kind of how it goes for me. Now, sometimes you say, if you were stopped by the police, if you said, Well, am I under arrest? Am I under detention? Can I move? Can I do these other things? And the police say no. Then you say, well, then, in my opinion, in my belief, I believe sincerely now I'm under arrest. And based on that, I'm going to assert the Fifth Amendment, which says I'm going to remain silent. That also is the right not to produce. I don't have to produce anything in writing. I don't have to sign nothing. I don't have to write nothing. I don't have to give you anything in my private automobile. If I do have a driver's license, registration, insurance, okay. If I don't, okay. But if I do have it, I don't have to give it to you. I'm not saying have that conversation, but I'm saying, say the police stop me. Say I got all these documents. And I say, well, I'm considering myself under arrest. And as such, I'm going to remain silent, and that includes the right not to produce any of these documents you've asked for. Because if I give you any of these documents and they're expired, that's got inaccurate information on it, you're going to use it against me in a court of law. And you're going to say, well, you're building a case against yourself. Okay, so you say, so you don't want to cooperate. I don't want to build a case against myself. If you call that you want me to testify against myself, you want me to give you documents to work against myself, if that's what you call cooperation, no, I don't want to do it. Cooperation, the way most people mean it and the way you mean it, is two different things. If a guy's over here building a house and he says, can you come cooperate with me and hold this piece of wood over here? Yeah, I'm helping a man build a house. Not my house, I'm helping him build his house. Okay? When the police say cooperate, that means I'm asking you, Mr. John Q. Citizen, to help me do my job, and part of my job is to build a case against you. One where you're going to have to pay money or go to jail. Are you going to cooperate and give me the evidence against yourself? I'm going to say no. Now, with that said, every single situation is like a snowflake, and each separate situation is different. So I've got to decide, is this a marked police car? Is it daytime or nighttime? Is there one policeman in there? Is there two? Is there two or three police cars? What is the most likely reason they're stopping me? Did I forget to turn on a signal? Do I got a burnout tag light? Is there a license tag not on my truck or car? Or is it expired? Or is it something else, like maybe somebody's kidnapped and it was in a private automobile that looked like mine, or I look like the guy that did somebody wrong 15 minutes ago? So what is the most probable reason they're stopping me? And I'm going to try and keep my hands on the stern wheel, or one on the stern wheel and one on the door where they can see my hands. I'm going to try and make eye contact with them. I'm going to keep a proper tone. I'm not going to try and overtalk them. I'm not going to try and do verbal judo with them in the first 15 seconds of, I just want to let you know I'm a sovereign. That's the last thing I say in the entire world. Because police have been getting bulletins for 20 years about people that call themselves sovereigns or sovereign citizen. Citizen and sovereign kind of like saying the same thing twice. It's like saying do. Yes. Sovereign citizen. Citizen and sovereign. Sovereigns are citizens. Citizens are sovereign. It's just like saying the same thing twice. Doctor, physician. But anyway, they've been getting these notices that says, if a person says these things, if a person acts or behaves in this way, consider them a sovereign, consider them confrontational, consider them possibly armed and dangerous. Use due care, call for backup. Okay? And the reason why is because although 90% or more of the people who are, quote, in the patriot sovereign movement, which is who we actually are in the Constitution, it describes us. That's who we are. They have tainted and demonized our servants. our government servants have tainted and demonized us when we say or do any of these things that are under the Constitution, which are the supreme law of the land. So they try and laugh at us, make fun of us, make jokes. But when it gets right down to it, and we usually wind up going up to court, we win. If not the first time, then it's on a judicial review at a higher level, not administrative courts, but judicial courts. That's different. You got to learn what's what. So we go on and on and on and on, and somewhere up the line in these appeals process, then real judges, not administrative clerks, glorified administrative clerks of the title judge, but a real judge in a real judicial court that really understands judicial law. They understand the canons and ethics of their profession. Okay? They understand that you have standing. You don't have status. Okay? Governments and other entities have status. Their corporations have status. I'm a man. I have standing. A man can stand. A man is erect. A man can walk. God created man in his image. Genesis 1:26 through 28. I have standing. Everything that comes before me that I deal with on a judicial matter, I have standing. Okay? Corporations have status. If standing and status comes together, status loses. I can stand on top of status. It's a piece of paper. I can rip it up and I can stand on it. I can burn it. I can do anything. But it can't do nothing to me because it's a fiction of law. It's a fiction in law. Okay? So, I'm telling you, use common sense when you deal with the police. Use common sense when you deal with courts, clerks, even the janitor. And the janitor is important. If the janitor don't do his job, things get pretty trashy and people get sick, just like the trash man. So give him his due regard. But in society in general, the trash man or the janitor is kind of looked down on. I don't look down on them, but a lot of people do. So I'm using that as a way to explain to you. If the janitor gets scared, he's going to call the police because he's been trained through society. Call the police. The police are trained, when we're called, we must act. Okay, that's their training. Now, you know, how they actually act when they get there is another story. See what I'm saying? So, use your brains. Okay? Assess the policeman. Is this a guy that's 19 or 20 years old, or is this a guy that's 60 years old? Is this a guy that walks up real slow and easy and he's in no hurry and gets up to your car and says, hey, how y'all doing today? Or is he somebody that's young and cocky and got this high and tight hairdo that looks like he works out with Hulk Hogan, and he comes up to the car and says, driver's license, registration, insurance, do it now. Okay? You're dealing with a difference between an egg and an apple. Okay? These are just two different things entirely. Okay, so you're going to have to deal with that one policeman different than the other. People say, well, the law's the same. Yeah, but the man that's applying it, or he believes he's applying it, whether right or wrong, he's the guy at the door with the badge, with the gun, with a radio, and he can call more people with more badges and more guns and dogs and tasers and stun gun. And do you want to go to the hospital? Do you want to go to jail? Do you want to go to the morgue? Maybe your family loves you and don't want you there. Okay? So I'm not saying be a coward. I'm not saying that. I ain't a coward, but I ain't stupid neither. So the valor, the honor, the integrity in us must say that there's more than one way to skin the cat. So you may have to bite your tongue. You may have to autograph, not signature, but autograph, and put your reservations and your qualifications on your autograph or signature, however you like to say it, for yourself, and then you go file your proper claims in the administrative courts, and or make them tell you, and you file papers and ask them, are you an administrative court, or are you a judicial court or administrative court? Each court has its own separate rules, regulations, policies, procedures. I must be told which one I'm under so I can defend myself properly. If they say this is an administrative court, then you got to go find out what the administrative rules are. They're different. If they or tell you this, which they're probably never going to tell you this, they're going to tell you something other. But there have been occasions they said this is uh, admissions court or something along those lines, meaning admiralty. Okay, there's different sets of rules. It's like a dang ship has a captain and it's done dry docked in the middle of your city or county, which is impossible. So that law really doesn't fly, but just say. Or they say this is a proper judicial court. So whichever one they claim to be under, learn their rules, learn their procedures, and you can file an abatement under any of those. And if they say it's an emergency court, which they probably will never say that neither, but most courts are under emergency orders. Then there is military tribunal instead of administrative, so it's a military tribunal court. There are rules and regulations for civilians in emergency military courts. So whatever court you're in, you got to learn the rules. There's a different set of rules for tennis, baseball, football, checkers, and chess. And so you got to know how to play tennis and chess simultaneously in some of these courts. That's what passes for a court. It's not really a court. It's a hearing. It's a procedure. It's a process. And most of them, most of the time for most of the people, just involve some dinero, some money, something of value. They want some Federal Reserve notes, but you can even question them that. If the fine is $100, $100 from where? We don't have dollars. We have Federal Reserve notes, but we don't have dollars. So make the court define it. Does it have an S with one line in it or two lines in it? Okay? If you take Federal Reserve notes, then you're discharging the debt. You're not canceling the debt. So what happens with the debt at that point? Is the debt retired? A lot of questions you need to ask the court, okay, and it keeps prolonging your case. You can file an abatement. You can say, you know, based on prima facie evidence, you didn't do ding, 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 ding. And you haven't done these things. So until we take care of the process under due process of law, we can't move on to the next thing. Well, they can't never cure it. They can't fix it. So it just winds up being undone. So I'm telling you, the police that do a good job, and they're out there. There's a lot of them. Now, some of them are mistrained. Some of them, I don't know, for lack of a better word, have been taught to misapply things. They think they got on the white hat, and really they got on the black hat. But it's going to take a man like me that's got 40 years in to sit down and talk to them. I've sat down and talked to a lot of police individually. I have changed a lot of them's minds. Some of them have retired or resigned and they've gone on to other jobs. Some have stayed and they've changed their behavior. They've changed the way they act. They have called their supervisors and their supervisors and said, where in the law does this say this? And they can't find it. They said, well, until you find it, I'm not going to enforce it. I'm not going to do this or that until you can show me in the law. And they take them things that are quasi-lawful, but not really. And they said, well, where's the authority behind that? And so they got people jumping. And I've got this going on in about 5 different states. So I'm making progress, but I can only do it one policeman at a time, one constable, one sheriff. And just like David over at News Now Houston, YouTube's been screwing with this account. It really upsets me because he was telling the truth and doing the right thing. Now, David has a lot of problem with the constable's office in Harris County. I think it's Precinct 8. But you look back at his video and see, and he's got another video channel for people to go subscribe to in case it goes down. Well, one of the constables got caught dirty and then complained and went to his channel and got a lot of people flagging and stuff. It's a thin line of blue, except green or yellow or red or whatever color it is over there. Anyway, he had made mention about maybe doing away with constables. Well, in Texas, you only have two elected peace officers in Texas. It's the county sheriff and the constables in the precinct. Most constables throughout Texas do an outstanding job, and they're in your precinct. So say if you got a small county, you're probably going to have 4 precincts. So you got a constable and his deputies. Some constables are a very small office, and there's the constable and maybe a chief deputy and 2 others, and that's it. So there's 4. But they live in your area. They're closer to you. They're easier to access. They're easier for you to talk to them. They're elected, and they're elected in a smaller group of the county. You can affect a lot of positive change with them. Now, the sheriffs and constables have special duties. Like the sheriff's main duty is to take care of the jail and serve papers. The constable's main duty is to serve papers and act as a conservator of the peace in the county. So if they see breaches of the peace, disorderly conduct, or other things, that's their main duty. Also with the sheriff, if they see disorderly conduct, all these other things. The sheriff's main duty and the constable's main duty is not a DUI task force. Either one of them doing that, I think that's bad. Either one of them doing vehicle inspections, speed checkpoints, all that other stuff. That's all secondary, third, fourth on the list. Okay, they're supposed to be visible. They're supposed to be accessible. They're supposed to be in the courts. They're supposed to serve papers, and then the sheriff keeps the jail. Okay, they're conservators of the peace. All the other rigmarole, the main duty for that falls to municipal police, like Dallas Police, Fort Worth Police, Houston Police, Miami Police, LA, whatever. The sheriff and constables are conservators of the peace, and we need them because they're elected, which means we can remove them from office. We can put in another man or woman that will do the job. If their deputies are bad, we can go tell them we're going to remove them of office if they do not remove these deputies. They can, and they do. They are an extension of the sheriff and or the constable. So I believe in the office of sheriff and the office of constable. I'm a chief deputy retired constable. I've been a constable in 2 different states. Okay, and I'm telling you, they're far more needed than you realize. Now, when they get as big as a couple of these constables' offices in Houston, when they get that big, sometimes they have a habit of getting too big for their own pants. Okay, and they get this delusions of grandeur. Now, it might be reasonable if your county has 1 million people in your county, then you no longer need constables, or you have only 1 constable in the county and he has a certain amount of deputies, so that you still carry out the duties of constable in that county, but there might only be 1 instead of 4, 6, or 8 different constables. Okay, but you still need somebody to be in there that you elect, that you have a voice in. When judges are elected, when constables and sheriffs are elected, they have a tendency to listen way more than some chief of police, because the chief of police is by the city council. And if you got 5 council people, it takes 3 of them to fire him. Okay, so a lot of times they get away with stuff because the city attorney or the town's attorney will tell them, don't fire the chief. He just made some mistakes, but they're not that grave, and he could have a big lawsuit against us, and da-da-da-da-da. People can't do nothing about you voting for whoever you want to be your constable. And there's far, far, far more constables in Texas than sheriffs. And if you elect enough good constables, they'll begin to show the sheriffs up in their constitutional duties. And the constables usually understand their constitutional duties and the Constitution of Texas far better than most sheriffs that I've come across. There's exceptions to the rule. So I'm telling you, think about what you're doing. Think about who you're talking to. Okay? And I will be getting back to more videos as quick as I can. But Jason Bourne, code name, I really need to finish up his stuff and really get this done because he's in dire need. And you know, it's about 12 people I'm helping. It's 3 or 4 major, and the rest are kind of minor. But that takes a lot of time to do this stuff. And I'm not, you know, a young chicken. I can't just come in here and look at a computer for 4, 6, 8, or 10 hours in a row and just bang this stuff out. I'm not a fast typist. I hunt and peck. Now, I do pretty good at it, actually, but I'm not that fast, okay? I may have 2 hours here and 2 hours there, an hour here and 30 minutes there. And sometimes when people call and talk to me on the phone about stuff, they're taking notes, but they may talk to me for an hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours, and I'm wore out because I've done wore my brain out thinking of all these answers to tell somebody, okay? And did I charge them anything? No. Nope. Not 1 penny. Not 1 single cent. I sent these papers out. Did I charge anybody? No, nothing. I've gave out a lot of things to a lot of people who did not donate 1 cent to me or the church. I gave it to them because I believed in them. And I believed they need it. So I sent it to them irregardless. Some people I did stuff for, they have gave a donation to me or the church. Okay? So I've done stuff with and without donations. These phone calls, I probably have done 600 phone calls in the last 3 or 4 months. I've done 4 or 5 phone calls in a day, 8 or 10 sometimes. Sometimes they're just 20 or 30 minutes long. Sometimes they're 10 minutes long. Sometimes I just got a couple questions. Sometimes I have been eating breakfast and had to put it on mute to finish talking to them, and I was fixing lunch by the time we were done. You see, so I do all that I can for as many people as I can. But and all my emails are up to date. I've answered everybody. So I'm good on the emails. I finally caught up that. I've returned all the phone calls between December the 20th and about now. So we're talking, I don't know, 30 days, something like that, 32 days, whatever. I don't know. Let's see. This is 19 and 21. Let's see. I think that's 30. I don't know. I get to talking numbers. Makes my eyebrows go up and down and makes me act weird sometimes. Too many numbers at one time, especially when I'm busy. Excuse me, give me a migraine headache. Anyway, enough about me. I'm doing pretty good. My family's doing good. Thank you for your prayers. Please pray for all these people that's doing the YouTube police accountability and First Amendment audits. If you got specific questions you want to ask me, please put them in the comments, okay? Or you can email me privately. I will normally get back to people the same day. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 days. But tell me, the more specific your comment is, like, Brother Damon, we would like you to tell about ecclesiastical sovereignty. Somebody asked me about that, and I've explained it to them. In fact, I sent them a document. If they ask about the Paris Peace Treaty, you know, 1783, I try to explain that. If they ask about the Magna Carta, I explain that. If they ask about constitutional law enforcement from back in colonial days to now, who was there, how did it get started, how did we come up with these jails, how did we get from one set of true laws to things that pass for law that isn't law. I've tried to explain that to people. I know this video is longer than some of them. I'm not necessarily sorry about that, but I can only think so fast, I can only act so fast, and I don't have a script. I don't read off of a script. I think on my toes, I think on my feet. I try and stay on task. Sometimes I get off. But if you have a very specific thing, a specific law or situation you want to know about, it's easier for me to do a video than to type, because I can do a video in 5 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to cover a certain area. To type would be an hour-long or 2-hour-long deal, and I'd be wore out when it was over. So I try and do videos versus do other things. So sometimes, I have to type, and I do. Anyway, if you can, please donate to me, to my channel, to my church. We give a lot of money out of our own pocket to help feed homeless, sick, and needy people. Done it many times. Probably do it a lot more. Nobody's entitled to nothing. All these people running around about the government gives me my phone. I got an Obama phone. No, you got the people's phone. He's just the guy that sucked the money out of the people to get it to you. So he's taking money from one group of people and giving it to another. He don't have no money. The government has no money. The only thing the government has is the ability to suck or steal it from us that work or have worked our whole lives and give it to some other man or woman or family who won't work. Sometimes they can't work, I understand that. But a lot of it is fraud. A lot of it is waste and abuse. I mean, I would go as far as to say over half of it is waste, fraud, and abuse that people can work and they refuse to work. They refuse to pull their fair share. They refuse to assist in any way. They just want to suck off of society. That's wrong. Okay? It's always been wrong. It's wrong now. It'll always be wrong. Get out and do what you can do. Okay? You do the best you can, and you still can't quite make it. There's a safety net where the government that does take money from us can assist you to a certain amount. Okay? But when I was working sometimes as a policeman, and I looked at what I was getting my salary and benefits, and then I looked at this other family, and I knew this particular family, and I said, what's going on? Well, supposedly the woman couldn't work and the man couldn't work, supposedly. And then they had 3 or 4 kids. Well, when you added up all the food stamps they got, government subsidized housing where they were paying next to nothing, and then cash benefits they were getting, food stamps, the whole enchilada, their family was getting about $350 to $400 a month more than me. Okay? I had to go out and work guaranteed 40 hours. It was more like 70 or 80 hours a week. And all that stuff was comp time after my 40 hours. That's why when I left one agency, they owed me about a year's worth of wages. So they had to just keep paying me and paying me and paying me and paying me for a whole another year after I left to get me paid up. I had that much comp time. So and that was sometimes taken off during the year. This was over a few years that, I got an entire year's worth of pay coming to me. That'll tell you something. And even with all that, they would still get more money than me. And they wouldn't work. But I see them down at the liquor store getting cigarettes and liquor. They always had money to go to the movies and do things that I couldn't quite do. And why? Because my money just paid the bills. I had just a fraction left over. Well, they always had that $300 or $400, and back during the early 90s, hey, you go see a lot of movies and you drink a lot of beer and alcohol for $300 or $400, and parties and get-togethers, and they always seem to be able to get around and do anything. They played baseball and football in their yard. I said, man, for somebody that's that physically fit and they do all this stuff, I can't find out how they can't work. Okay, so, I know there's people that's got mental issues, but that wasn't their case. I know people's got physical issues, and that wasn't their case. They were fraudsters. But there you go. The people that was giving them money wanted them to, ding, ding, vote for them. So that was a bribe by another name. If you'll vote for me, I'll make sure you get all this free stuff. Well, it ain't free. I'm going to take from this man over here, and I'm going to give to you if you'll vote for me. So at minimum, even if he votes against me, you cancel out his vote. So it's like he didn't vote. So if I get enough of y'all can cancel all the other people, and then a few more than I get in office, and I keep giving you free stuff. Well, actually, I don't have money, and the government don't have money, but we'll steal some more of these people money to give to you. Okay? I got off topic. This was supposed to be about police accountability and police abuse. It does happen. It is real. It doesn't happen as much as some people would want you to think it does. And it doesn't, in other words, there is isolated places. There are some bad police departments and some bad offices in Texas and across the United States where you got a bad or corrupt sheriff, constable, marshal, or chief of police, or director of public safety, and they're nasty. And it starts from the top and trickles down, and they let them do what they want to do, and they got this grandiose idea. That does happen. That's a fact. That is a fact. I've seen it. Okay? And I've reported things when I've seen them. I've reported many things. Sometimes I'm told, hey, maybe you want to go get a job down the road. We'll give you a good recommendation. And I said, no, I think I'm going to stay here and make sure our agency works right. And I'm going to keep my eye on the other agency. So sometimes I was kind of pushed to go away. But I stayed. And even when I did leave, I kept checking back. Okay? So all the good cops gave me a right-handed salute and said, you're the man. You're the man. We love you. And a lot of cops asked me to help protect them, and I have. But them ones that's on the left-hand side, that's far-out lunatics, and thinks that government's some big entitlement thing, and that police get to decide who the winners and losers are. Here's a left-handed salute to all you crazy people out there. Remember, I've been helping everybody I can help. I'm caught up on my emails. I'm caught up on my phone calls. There are a few people that's actually had attorneys, which it would have been better if they didn't, in my opinion. But I've even called and talked to their attorneys and brought knowledge, skills, and resources and abilities to their attorneys that have helped them to move forward in their cases. And I have wrote letters for people to help turn the tide their way. That's been for people that have donated and for people that haven't donated. So I don't charge to talk to people on the phone. That's something some other crazy guy come up with, talking all that crap. This other guy, he had the mentality and the thought process. If you want to talk to me, you got to pay money. You don't mean to do anything, you got to pay money. He had this grandiose idea that he thought he was so special. In fact, everything I says he's lost every single case he's been involved in. And he attempted to trick me into saying that he was an attorney at law, pretending to be somebody else on mail he sent me, which I've turned that over to the proper authorities. He did it to somebody else also. And I haven't forgot I'm going to do a criminal biography on this special individual. Y'all know who he is. Anyway, thanks, Philadelphia. Excuse me, not Philadelphia. Why? Pennsylvania Phil, my good buddy, my farmer friend. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. He's a good guy. He knows a lot of other good people too. Thank you to the people that pray for me and my family. Thank you for you that support me with your gifts on my PayPal at Damond4040@yahoo.com. DAYMOND, Damond4040@yahoo.com. Thank you that have sent me emails that have done nothing but say, I thank you, I support you, I'm behind you. I don't have no money, but thank you, please keep doing it. Some people have sent thank yous and said, hey, I'm sending you $20. I know it ain't a lot, but here's 20. Or a couple said, you know, I can't do 50, but I can do 40. Will you take it? I'll take $1. You know, I love people. I want to help people. I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm a retired chief of police, retired chief deputy constable, former Texas Ranger and U.S. Marshal Special Assignment in Northeast Texas. I do all I can for everybody I can. I've been accused of being too generous, too helpful, And I'm kind of gets me down in my health sometimes, because sometimes between writing letters and emails and talking to people, I spend 18 to 20 hours a day helping people for many days in a row. I've traveled 2 or 3 states in the same day and gone to meetings with militia people, patriot groups, so forth. Remember, whatever you do, don't go into no court and say you're sovereign. Whatever you do, don't tell no police you're sovereign. Don't even allude to that. They've been getting these memos for 20 years telling them that you're dangerous. Okay? You have to learn new verbiage. You have to have a new dialogue, a new strategy, one that they're not trained for, that just says you're a good guy and you're trying to obey the law. You and them talking about two sets of laws. You're talking about the Constitution. They're talking about a statute or a code or a policy. They're night and day different. Okay? But you never said what law. Okay? I'm trying to obey the law and I'm trying to get along, but I don't want you to try and take something and use it against me and build a case against me. Don't I have the Fifth Amendment right? Ask a question instead of maybe demand it. Maybe you can say, don't I have a Fifth Amendment right not to be made to testify against myself or produce evidence against myself? Yes. Most of them will say yes. Well, if I gave you a driver's license and say it had the wrong address on there, wrong date of birth, my name was misspelled, anything was wrong, you'd use that against me, wouldn't you? And if they're honest, they'd say, yeah. They'd say, see? So I can't do that because it might be giving evidence against myself. It don't mean it is. Everything might be right on there. I was just using it as an example. Or the insurance could be expired. Anything. But you're asking me to give you papers and documents that you're going to use against me. Okay? And I'm under arrest because you won't let me get out of my car. You won't let me walk up the street. You won't let me do a lot of things I want to do. So you've restricted my movement to here. Okay? I'm under arrest. You can call it investigatory stop. You can call it a traffic stop. You can call it an investigation. You can call it anything you want to. But I'm still under arrest. And I can go in and swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that I absolutely, sincerely believe myself to be under arrest. And I invoke my Fifth Amendment right. And then you did the following things retaliatory to me. That's a claim that a lot of men and women have used, and it's been successful. Anyway, I'd talk your ears off if I could. Oh, by the way, I got half of that gone. I used some kind of wart remover thing and a file, and I worked on it like a bad man, because to go to my doctor and get a referral, it's like $22 or something. Okay? And I got to drive to the doctor and drive back. That takes time and money. Then I got to go see the skin doctor for it to get cut off or froze off or whatever they do over there. Then 2 weeks later, I got to go back and see him. And then I had to have a follow-up with my doctor. Okay? This is $20 when I go see my doctor and $20 when I go back and see my doctor. So that's $40. It's $40 for the specialist and $40 for the specialist. So that's 40 and 40 is 80. So 80 and 40, as in 20 and 20, that's 80, that's $120. That ain't counting my gas, and my private pickup truck sucks up some gas. So I'm going to use 4 gallons at a time. And at about $2.50 a gallon, that's $10 a trip. So that's $40. So now I'm at $160 in about 8 hours or 10 hours of my time. So nobody sent me my $100. Few people said, hey, I'll send you $100, get that booger off your head. But they forgot, they got busy, they run out of money. But anyway, I didn't get it, and I don't have it. Okay? Yeah, I could have not helped out a few people that I have helped out, and I gave a couple of donations to different people for different things to help them out in their life that they needed. And I guess if I had saved all that, I'd probably have enough money. But I guess I'd rather leave a booger on my head, and it bothers me and I don't like it, then, if somebody sent me the money, I'd go get it done. That's a fact. But till somebody does, I'm just gonna keep helping people and leave that booger on my head. But if you want to help me get my booger removed, send me $1 or $160 or whatever. I'll thank you publicly, and you be my new best friend. I'm crazy. I'm a nut, but I'm lawfully sane. It's a crazy world we're passing through. We're not here. This ain't our home. We come from God. We're returning to God. This is part of our journey. This is where we learn. This is where we try and make friends and witness to people on the behalf of God. We become His testimony. We become His witnesses. In the Bible it talks about having two good witnesses. Just like if I go in court, the court don't like me too much. I mean, a lot of courts I've been in, they know who I am. And they've known me for years. And I've become more, in some of their eyes, more stubborn. To me, I become more steadfast, more of a pillar. But when they go to swear me in, I say, first of all, if I do it, I'm going to have to aver. A-V-E-R, aver. Christians aver. We don't swear, we don't affirm, we don't attest, we aver. Our yes is yes and our no is no. We aver to be truthful. Now, it also is a scripture in there that says, let all men be liars, that God be the truth. Now, you can do a whole big deep study on it, and there'll probably be people who disagree with me, but me and several people I know have said God is saying, I'm the only truthful one. All men lie. Well, that's a fact. Jesus was the exception. But Jesus was man and God simultaneously. So, I understand. So anyway, if they get ready to swear you in, and if you say, well, if I do it, I'm going to aver. And then they're going to have a little discussion about what does that mean, and are you going to be truthful? And you may say, and I'd have to put my hand on the King James Version 1611. Of course, I brought one, so that's not a problem. You also need to know that I serve under the Christian flag, not the flag of the United States of America or the United States Inc., or a state republic, one of the 50 state republics within the Union. I serve the Christian flag. It's first and foremost in my life. I am not a religious zealot. I do believe in the state, and I do believe in the Union. But they come second. God comes first. God comes above my family. God is number one at all times. And God said that all of us men are liars. That includes you, Judge, and Mr. Prosecutor. We're all liars. So if we put our hand on the Bible and we aver to tell the truth, we just finished telling a lie. So I'm a liar. So what are they going to do? You can't defend yourself. You want to take the stand, but you can't defend yourself because you're a liar. But then you're saying they're all liars too. You can have a lot of fun with that in court. Now, you may get some cantankerous judge that says, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Wait a minute. Point of order. Point of law, Mr. Man that calls yourself a judge. You're telling me, and you're saying in open court, think about this, Judge, you're under an oath of office. You were elected and you're under oath of office. Or you was appointed and you're under oath of office. Are you telling me that you're going to be the sole witness? You're going to be the sole complainant. And you're going to be the sole executioner. So you're going to be judge, jury, and executioner, all three in one. That's outside of the judicial canons of ethics. You can't serve all three places and find somebody in contempt of court and sentence them to jail. So you're about to commit treason and open fraud in open court. I think the penalty for that is hanging you by the neck until dead at the nearest intersection. How would you like to proceed? Now, if you say I'm wrong, I'm willing to listen. I'm always ready to learn. I'm a good man. I'm a good father. I'm a good brother, good son, good uncle. I love people. Even people that have done me wrong, I love them. I hate their behavior. And I have to point out their bad behavior so that others can stay away from them so that they not hurt them too. But I digress. Police accountability. We all must hold each and every law enforcement officer and each and every peace officer accountable to us, the people. They're our servants. We must have accountability in the judiciary with judges too. The police won't do anything judges say they can't do. I promise you. I have seen judges tell police not to do things that the police knew they dang sure should be doing, but because some judge told them verbally, and most especially in writing, not to do it and made it a judicial order, they wouldn't do it to save their soul. On the other hand, police would not enforce certain things or do it because they said it's illegal or unlawful. And some judge issued them a warrant or instructed them over a phone, a cell phone, you are to go do the following things. They would nearly always do it, but if it was in writing and they had that in writing with them, they would have knocked down the door. And not, I don't believe in the Pope. I'm not a Pope guy, okay? That's a long story, and I'd be glad to share it with anybody. But say the Pope, who is the head of state of the Vatican, okay? Like, you know, you got the Prime Minister in Israel, the Prime Minister in Canada. Well, he's the head of a recognized country, the smallest in the world, like 113 acres or whatever it is. I don't really remember. I looked it up at one time. But say he's here, and he's inside an American embassy meeting with people. Well, in that, quote, jurisdiction, some judge signed a piece of paper to say, take him into custody, take him to so-and-so jail. I promise you, as I live and breathe, there would be a pile of policemen, SWAT team if necessary, and they would kick the doors into the embassy. They would fight the United States Marine Corps embassy guards. They would fight them, knock them down, disarm them, take them into custody, and anybody else that said boo at them, and take the Pope, throw him in the back of a truck, and take him down to jail because a judge signed it as a judicial order. Because they are of the mind that the judge assumes 100% liability, and nothing further can be from the truth. The judge is liable in his official capacity as a fiction of law or fiction in law. He's 100% responsible for his action. He's responsible for it as a man, okay? But every single police officer that helped, aided, or assisted in any way and up and down the chain of command is also 100% responsible because they have to validate that it is a valid, lawful warrant. It's at a time and place consistent with the law to make the arrest. Okay? So it has to go through a process. So if they violate the process, they're not going to be able to claim color of law exception. I didn't know better. I've just followed instructions. The people that followed behind Hitler were just following instructions too. But they have a conscience. They have a duty to see if it's lawful. That's why even in the military today, some major comes across some sergeant and says, I order you to go over here and shoot this man in the head. There are some sergeants that would go shoot that man in the head because his major told him to. Well, my major told me to. There's people like that. They're concrete thinkers. Okay? But 99% would say, sir, I cannot carry out that order. It's unlawful. And I'm going to have to report you. And they would go and report them to the military police for naval intelligence investigation or what have you. Okay? And they would probably send him to psych to see why in the hell he would do that. And if he's psycho, then they're going to probably give him a psycho discharge. Okay? If he paid his dues and went crazy, okay. But anyway, there's a process to keep police in check. And I used to believe in internal affairs to about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, 18, 20 years ago, I changed my mind completely. I cannot, as the chief of police, have police officers over here or the sheriff or constable. I can't have my deputies or officers, whatever the case may be, or my marshals. I can't have them over here doing something, and then there's a citizen or citizens or other police officers that come to me and talk to me in my ear or type out papers and say this police officer or officers have committed crimes or they're violating departmental policy or state law, whatever it happens to be, code, policy, procedure. And then I go over here and get another deputy or another policeman that works for my agency or a special unit of 1 or 2 or 10, however many it is, that does what's called internal investigation. And then they go against these people. Now, I'd say 50% of the time, they come out pretty legit. And if you had had somebody from another agency, say 50 miles up the road, that don't know nobody's here from Adam's House Cat, they'd probably come up with the same conclusions half the time. That's what I believe. I've done internal investigations. I've been the focal point of internal investigations. I was cleared, but I was clean and I knew it. And I told them I didn't need no lawyer, nothing. I'd handle my own business. I was clean. I was clean. So the only reason y'all even mess with me is because I've stirred up the hornet's nest and I've made y'all become accountable. So you're trying to make an example out of me so other policemen and other sheriffs and deputies won't come after you. Okay? I'm your nightmare if you're a bad cop. If you're a good cop, I'm a dream come true. And I know the difference, and I've dealt with every kind. Okay? I've rode with bad cops. I told them straight up, if I see you do something wrong, you're going down. If you try and take somebody's life unlawfully, I'll kill you. I'll stop you before you hurt somebody. And I've had some police officers go to chiefs of police and say, I ain't riding with that guy. He threatened to kill me. And I've been called into a chief. You threatened to kill that officer? I said if he unlawfully tried to take somebody's life, I'd kill him to stop it. Yes, I said that, and I'm on record as saying that. And I said, on the other hand, if he does his job and somebody tries to hurt him or kill him, I'd kill them to protect him. I'm a righteous dude. Okay? I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. But I'm the guy that comes up to front plate and says, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Will you accept that? If they say no, there's nothing else I can do. If there's something I can do to make it right. You know, there's been a lot of things in my life that's happened. I said, well, I'm wrong. What will it take to make it right? They've told me. And nearly every single time it's something very reasonable. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And I did it, whatever it was. I went and did their grocery shopping. I replaced a tire on their car, bumper, whatever it was, I did it. Okay? A couple of times it's unreasonable. I said, no, that's unreasonable. Let's be real now. This is a minor mistake. This is not a life mistake. Okay? So every situation is a snowflake. Look it through. Think about it. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction, okay? Thank you. God bless you. One final time, Daymond, DAYMOND 4040 at yahoo.com. Help me to help myself and help my family. Help me to help other people. That there's a lot of paperwork I can help get out to a lot of people, but I'm only one person, and I got a couple people that's willing to help me. But if they help me, then they got to take time away from their other job. And so they'll have to get something for that. They'll have to get some kind of donation for their time. In a roundabout way, that's what they tell me. The more there is, the better. Okay? If I got $1, I'll use it. If I got 100, I'll use it. If I get 5,000, I'll use it. If I don't get nothing, then I just keep rolling on my own funds, whatever I can get together. I love y'all. I really love y'all. I pray that the people that subscribe and watch me are blessed in a great and a mighty way. I pray people that scam people on YouTube and these other medias, these bad cops and judges, I pray that God deal with them and turn them from their wicked ways. But if it still doesn't work, then God, you have to have your way. The people that know me know I'm a good and honest man. I'm honest, I'm fair in my dealings. I don't promise more than I can deliver. If something happens and there's a change, I'm an honest man. I call you on the phone. I try and come see you in person if possible and say, hey, I've got a problem. I got a change. Can you work with me on this? Just like people come to me and ask me. Okay? I love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. Do what you can. If you can't, God knows it. If you can and don't, God knows that too. Okay? I know we live in a society where people want free movies, free music, free advice. They want everything for free. Free, free. They want their life to be free. Freedom ain't free and life ain't free. If you go down and talk to an attorney, it's going to cost you probably a few $100s to a few $1,000s for small issues. You get into anything that's a felony, you're probably talking $5,000 on up. A lot of this stuff, if somebody, say, gave me a donation, I could help them along. I could tell them what I would do and why I would do it, and wind up with about the same situation they would with an attorney, except I'm giving them friendly thoughts. I'm telling them what I would do. I'm helping educate them so they can represent them own selves. I'm not representing them, but I'm teaching them to the point that they could represent them own selves pro se in court. And I had somebody do that not too long ago, and they come out with a pretty good case. I wish they would let me tell more about it, but of course they're in a small place, and if their name got out and they were seen bragging about it, there might be retribution against them. So it's probably best, even if they said I could, not to do it unless they move away. I don't make promises and guarantees except to do the best that I can to help you as a minister of the gospel and having my knowledge, experience, and training that I have. Okay? Write me. Tell me have a good day. Write me and say, hey, I gave you a little donation here. Or, if you need help and I need help, okay. I need a little help, but I'm seriously poor and I really don't have no money. Okay, I'll do what I can for you. Obvious, if two people come to me at the same time and they both need help, and one of them's got a donation, the other one doesn't, I'm going to help both of them. You were waiting for me to say, hey, I'm going to help the one with the donation, not the other one. That's not true. But the one with the donations going to the front of the line because that's going to keep food on the table. And I eat. I'm overweight. I know it. I know I'm overweight. Now, I have lost a grand total of about 40 pounds from about 4 or 5 months ago. I lost most of it at one time, but recently I lost another 10. I need to lose another 100 pounds. Y'all pray for me. I've been trying to walk, but I had a problem with one knee. And no, it didn't have to do with being fat. It had to do with arthritis and a lot of pain. So I've done a lot of things to exercise in a chair or stand on the other leg and do a lot of things to lose weight. And it's been working to some extent. Now my leg's better. Now I can get to walking. Maybe I can lose even more weight. I did one time get down a lot of weight. And I had a lot of pats on the back, and congratulations, because I lost dang near 100 pounds one time. And but now I'm older, and I have some health issues. It ain't quite as easy as it used to be. Okay? If you got good police and good judges in your area, please go shake their hands and thank them. Please get to know them. If they're bad, follow them, record them, put them out there. They'll go away. But make sure that when they leave, find out where they go get jobs at, because judges and cops recycle, okay? And go find out where they are and put out information there. If you find out where they're applying, let the people know ahead of time. Hey, somebody's applying and we got some video you should see, okay? Enough video, enough audio recordings, enough proceedings, nobody will touch them. I've known, even before we had videos, I'm talking back during the 80s. One time, like when I was a chief, somebody's coming to apply, and I actually had people, this guy was like for 40, 50 miles away, and people come over and they said, we heard he was applying with you. Yes. Well, let us tell you what we know. So I said, I can't tell you to do it, but I have voluntary statements. And you can sign this voluntary statement that says, I know ABC Jones or whoever. And I knew them, how I known them, how long I known them, what I've seen, or whatever. And I put that in the file. And of course, I did some checking. I couldn't just take their word, because he could have put them in jail on legitimate charges, and they're just using this against him. So I actually went in and investigated this, and I went and talked to the chief of police where he come from. I talked to a couple of fellow officers at random. I talked to some people that lived in his neighborhood, and then I even asked him, did he know these people? And he said, yeah. And he said they didn't get along. And I said, okay, well, they really don't like you. He said, I know, and I really don't like them. I said, okay. I said, but here's the deal. I've gone and talked to your old chief. I've talked to some officers, and not everything, but the majority of what they're saying in here is factually true. Now, it looks like some of it's extricated and making it bigger than it is. But nonetheless, there's so many question marks around this as to you being a people person and a real peace officer. I don't feel comfortable hiring you, and I won't. And so he said, well, okay. He said, I'll see you. Well, anyway, I talked to the other chiefs in the area, and lo and behold, he went to a city about 12 or 13 miles down the road. He was applying, and they was probably going to hire him, but I told the chief down there, so they wouldn't hire him. So he got blackballed all over northeast Texas. Somebody said he went to Missouri, and somebody said he went to Kansas. I don't really know. But I know he didn't go nowhere around there. And if they call back and talk to his old department, he probably didn't go. So it doesn't work every time, because sometimes the chief and their men, they're pretty tight. They do a lot, and they know a lot of dirt on each other, just like judges. So part of them protecting their guy ain't because they want to protect him, it's because they don't want their skeletons out there. So, but videotape them. Videotape them. If you got cops that's doing good stuff, videotape them too. That way, if people lie on them and try and get rid of a good cop, you can come in and say, wait a minute now, I got video of them doing all kind of great things around here, and we don't want to lose them. Judges and cops. I'm saying keep it straight, keep it fair. You got bad people, let's run them out. Get good people in. Okay? I ain't running for office, by the way. I'm just going to help the people. I've helped the people all that I could one way. Now in this part of my life, I'm trying to help them the other way. Spiritually, financially, emotionally, and under the Constitution, I'm trying to help people the best that I can. Everything I do is under my ministry and under the ecclesiastical sovereignty and the People's Organic Constitution of the United States. Well, help me do what you can for me, and I'm going to do what I can for you. If that's not fair, I don't know what is.